Good morning, brothers and sisters. Hector Murrieta with you once again for Catholic Commute on this beautiful September 22nd. I know I normally connect with you on the weekdays when I'm heading to work. That I feel blessed that this particular in our diocese is giving me the opportunity to be a part of this retreat and offer words and activities on that day. So please keep me in your prayers for that. But what I wanted to reflect on today was, or is rather, fasting, as you can see from the title. And I've been fasting for years now, and so I certainly feel like I kind of understand and get what the meaning behind it is. But since today and yesterday, and I believe last Wednesday are what are called Ember Days. Apparently Ember Days were a practice, if you will, of the church pre-Vatican II. But I know through Relevant Radio, they're promoting these Ember Days, and so thank God for that. And one of the practices that are part of Ember Days is fasting and prayer. Remember, Mark 9:29 is when Jesus tells his apostles that that this particular type of demon, referring to a case they were talking about in that gospel, can only be oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Defeated with prayer and fasting. So fasting is very important. So what's the difference between fasting and not eating? Because I was thinking as I was reflecting on this, what would I tell somebody if they say, well, I sometimes I go a full day or a half a day without eating. But here's the difference. When you ask them why they haven't eaten, they'll say, because I was so busy, or work got so busy that I just didn't eat, or I forgot to eat. I hear that often. I forgot. I personally can't understand how someone forgets to eat, but hey, that's what they say, that they forget to eat. But I love eating, so I would never forget that. But the point is, what is the difference then? Why can't that person count that as a fast? I mean, I'm not saying they can't. I would think it doesn't count, and here's the reason why I think, and it has to do with the importance of intent. And I was thinking, what's a good example of, to really send the message home? And I came up with a couple. And scripturally speaking, Jesus gives us many examples of the difference between intent. And, one that I'm thinking of is, and I don't know off the top of my head which gospel and verse, so I apologize for that. You've probably heard or read it, where he criticized. Well, it has to do with fasting. Jesus tells them, if you're going to fast, make sure that people don't know that you're fasting. In other words, he tells them, wear your perfume, throw on some perfume, so that people they don't know that you're fasting. So that, in other words, your intent in fasting is not to gain people feeling sorry for you, or for you to gain some greater status, or people saying, oh wow, look at how he or she fasts. He tells us, make sure your intent is not for that. He reminds people, don't know what your left hand is. Well, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. In other words, we're supposed to do these things not to get recognition, not for people to feel sorry for us or to feel proud of us. Jesus is very clear about that, but I was still trying to challenge myself and think, what's a day-to-day example that could send the message home that intent is everything? I was thinking of the example, and true to Jesus' style of teaching us lessons, I'm going to ask you a question. So, gentlemen, let's say you you're gonna get engaged to a young lady, and you know you're young and you guys are dating, and you want to get married. That's great. And you buy the ring, and let's just say something happens and sometime later and you're not gonna get married, and you are given that engagement ring in return. Let me ask you this, gentlemen, would you give that ring to, you know, a young lady, a girlfriend that you're going to get engaged to in the future? Ladies, how would you feel if you found out that you got an engagement ring that was meant for somebody else? I mean, on the surface of it, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that ring was meant for somebody else. Now I'm getting it. If we're honest with ourselves, I don't think that would fly very well. That's intent. Intent is everything. Young ladies, you know, let's say you out of your, you know, nice heart, you're gonna buy your boyfriend or you do buy your boyfriend a nice bottle of cologne, and something happens and you guys are no longer together, and you know that cologne is there, and later on you meet somebody else and you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna give my current boyfriend this cologne. Guys, how would you feel if you found out that that cologne was for some other guy? Again, if we're honest with each other, it probably wouldn't make us feel that good. So again, folks, it's intent. I hope you get it. So what does it have to do with fasting and not eating? Well, when you fast, the intent is God. You are doing it to glorify God. Why? Because you're sacrificing something that you need, which is food. It hurts. Fasting doesn't feel good, but you are doing it for God. You are lifting up God. You are doing it to lift up somebody in prayer. It's the body's way of praying. We can all pray up here, but kind of like faith and works, we've been talking about that. You know, how do you express your faith? You express it with works. Well, how can you express prayer with your body? That's through fasting. And prayer is intentional. Fasting is intentional. That's the difference, I believe, why a person that says, well, I went all day without eating or half a day because I was so busy at work, I'm just going to count that as a fast. Again, I don't know if you can, but me personally, I wouldn't count that. Why? Because of the intent. You got busy. You got busy doing things. Your intent was not to give up that wonderful thing we call eating. We all, enjoy it. I certainly do. You didn't say that morning, Lord, I'm going to offer this up to you. I'm going to be uncomfortable today. I'm going to feel those hunger pains for you, to glorify you. That wasn't the intent. So I think that's the big difference. So brothers and sisters, as you're considering fasting, which I highly recommend. I've been doing it for years. It's wonderful in many ways, and that's a whole other topic of discussion. But if you're considering fasting, I highly recommend it. Please do. Glorify God greatly, but remember, it's the intent. It's not because you got busy or because, it's some other reason. Your reason has to be, Lord, I love you, and pray with my people. All right, brothers and sisters, so don't forget the importance of prayer and fasting. Jesus told us how important it is. It's powerful. In many ways, Jesus tells us it's perhaps the only way to get rid of some demons. So God bless you, brothers and sisters, as you fast, and keep me in your prayer and offer, as you're fasting, please remember me in your prayers and fast. God bless you.